go ahead and call this to order. Let's please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, tonight we thank you for allowing us to gather. We thank you for our community and how you allowed us to be here. We realize that you have a plan and a purpose for this community and this city. We thank you for the mayor and those that serve our community. We ask your blessings on them, and as we have this meeting tonight, we just thank you for just being here with us, lead and guide us into what you know we can be as a community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Okay, first thing we will do is have the roll call. Alderman Greg Smith.
Here.
Alderman Lori Quinn. Absent. Alderman Mike Snyder.
Here.
Alderman Adrian Saunders. She indicated she will be late, but she will be here later, as soon as she can be. Alderman Robin Simpson.
Here.
Alderman Jason Osborne.
Here.
We have a quorum. So let's proceed. First thing on the agenda will be under tab 4, review and approval of the minutes for July 11th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 11th, 2024 minutes as prepared.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of July 11th, 2024. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes for the meeting of July 11th, 2024. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next on the agenda will be the mayor's report. We received a notification from People Services, which upon review and discussion with them will require for them to correct it because the numbers that were on here were incorrect for the current amount and the percentage increase that they are looking at. Per our contract, the monthly cost will increase 3% based upon the CPI for inflation, and an additional 1% annually for a total of 4% increase effective October 1st, 2024. When we receive the final document, we will bring that to the board for review. The contract, as stated, is auto-renew. I might ask the city attorney, if it's an auto-renew contract, why do they require acknowledgement from the city, a document signed by the mayor? It seems to be nonsensical.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. But
okay.
Yeah, that's.
Mayor, I understand the CPI increase, but what's the 1% tied to, does it say?
It's in the contract. The adjustment is to be based on the change in the consumer price index for all urban consumers, CPI-U, between June of 2023 and June of 2024, plus 1%. That's in the contract. So, golly gee, it looks like it's a great deal for them.
Nice, good, smart.
Well, they're providing a service. The agreement was agreed upon. The contract was signed. So there may be room for some negotiation. I'm uncertain. Well, congratulations. I hope you didn't drive excessively fast.
I did pretty good.
Awesome. I'm glad you could make it. Thank you so much. So that's my report on People Services. Real quick, this is probably more for, I think, the Public Safety Committee will want to take a look at this. I think I could be pointing this in the wrong direction. We had an individual come to the City Hall this week. He had some concerns about maintenance that was being performed In the utility easement, the trees had grown up underneath the main power line going out to the industrial substation. And so our electric crew was working within the easement, removing trees, and the individual who, as it turns out, is not the homeowner, and is not on the utility bill, but has a relationship with the owners, was complaining about we removed the trees, all of them, okay, because they were right under the line and they were all within the easement, and he thought that was the wrong decision to be made. And you know, I've looked at the pictures before, looked at the pictures after, and yes, I do agree, it doesn't look very good. They got a lot more cleanup work left to do.
Why didn't they just trim the limbs?
If I showed you the pictures, I think you'd get it. It just was.
Did they took it upon themselves, or somebody called and said that they needed to be taken care
No, we had a power outage at the line that goes over to the industrial park last week. Two of them, one at 1:30 and one at 4:30. They found this will give everyone who wants to have a laugh. They found one dead raccoon under one of the lines in one location. They found a dead buzzard in another location, apparently in this area where all this stuff is at, and contributes to wildlife wanting to, you know, make its way over to the lines, I suppose. It would appear to me everything they did was appropriate and well within their rights. No one's supposed to, none of us homeowners are supposed to plant trees or erect buildings or anything to prevent the utility service from doing their job. So you can't plant trees under the line. You can't build buildings under the line. So it's easements, which is plus or minus 10 foot from the property line on each side. And then our other requirement in that handout we send out every 6 months says don't plant a tree within 20 feet. It's in an ordinance somewhere. You can't be within 20 feet of plant a tree within 20 feet of a power line. So I think everything they were doing is well within their rights, but what did occur to me was when I went to try to find it within our city ordinances, I did not find it. I found it in the state's requirements, but I didn't find it in our ordinance. And I don't know if it was there and got booted when it was redone back in October 2022, or if it's just there and it's not easy to find. I searched utilities, I searched easements, I searched a lot of different terms to try to find it.
Well, the easement that's recorded probably would have had the language allowing us to
Okay.
define it, so.
Okay. So it's just something, I don't know, we might want to, at some point in time, take a look at. I found a couple of model easements from other cities that seem to do a real good job of getting that information out there, so anyone will want to be able to review it, or if there's any question as to the validity of what our requirements are relative to the easements and how we use them and how we're committed to use them. That is the end of the mayor's report, unless someone has some questions. Okay, moving on, city clerk's report.
All right. Jackie's still coming in of the evening, working on the bank statements. Talked to her last night. She is currently at April of this year's bank statement. She was asking about the new ones, and I do have those to provide to her. This is just on the bank side. This isn't on the GL side yet. So we're getting there, or she's getting there. But the GL side, I think, will probably take a little bit longer than the bank rec side. But, you can see where I got everything caught up on the retirement for all the employees. There wasn't any contributions made to anyone's retirement since January. I got all that caught up. The lead service line bids were opened on Monday morning at 9, and I did include an email from Dan Dover. He's the one that was helping us with this project. There's an email there, and also he has a tabulation sheet in there as well too. I think it's towards the back of your clerk's report. We did receive more bids than this, however, they weren't complete bids. They didn't submit all the required paperwork, so they weren't even really considered, for the, job. The one at the top, Vernon Jones, is the one that Dan is gonna recommend, and, he has also sent that on to the state for their review. Robin, did you not find it? It should be towards the very
It's in
end.
6, yeah.
Think so? I don't have it. That's okay.
That was in the wrong spot, very back.
Of 6?
Six.
Yeah, it's just, you
I
know,
don't have it.
yeah, let's see.
The one from Dan
Dan
Dover.
Dover.
The last thing I have is this revised ordinance. It's okay.
Maybe your neighbor will share with you.
It's pretty.
But
So,
Vernon Jones is the one that Dan's recommending. We will need
Almost.
a motion if you all would like to move forward and accept that bid for the project.
So what a couple of questions. What is the project doing?
Mayor, the lead line survey, this is where every property in town has to be examined from the pit to the house
From
to
the meter to
make
the
sure,
house.
to make sure that there's not lead lines being used.
Greg, at some point, when this gets further down the road, we select the company that's going to administer this lead line survey. They will put together some documentation that will go out to each one of the subscribers. Within that will most likely will be a, what do you call those things? You take a picture of it, of this, what do you call those things they put in there that you take a picture and it takes you to the website?
QR code.
Oh, QR code,
A
yeah.
QR code, and they will be able to take photographs of their own internal lines that come into their house, if they have like a line that comes into their basement or whatever, and submit those, and that should answer the requirement for the internal inspection of each residence. We were told you will not get everyone to comply, most likely, because it's somewhat, well, we'll see what happens. It's kind of complicated.
Okay, so
This is
like
required.
then do they go like and like review afterwards and see like do they have like go out and do checks of like people that don't comply, or I mean what's
I wish I knew the details. I do not. We will learn them, and
okay.
once we
Well, I mean, because what you from what you say so far, you've got pictures. That doesn't sound like $200,000 worth of.
there's
but-
going to be at least 500
That
excavations
will need to be
where we have to dig down in the ground and examine the line.
Oh, so they got to dig and also check.
Yes.
It's really,
Didn't we already do this about 20 years ago?
I don't know, Greg. I don't know.
And okay,
Is DNR providing the funding for it?
They are. This is all through a grant, so all the funding is.
okay.
And it is required by October. Dan did mention as long as we've got one person that is complete on the survey, and as long as we're not done by October, that's okay. As long as we have one of them
Well,
complete.
as long as one person takes a picture.
Mhm.
So as long as we get one to comply, and it's
Yeah.
okay for the.
We can go over the October deadline.
Okay. All right, and I mean, I guess it's a good thing. I mean, they've had issues with lead line deals before. I just said I remembered them.
Was it lead and copper that they were looking at before, or?
They did put in. I mean, they put in some new water lines. Like we got a new meter in front of our house, and we got letters at that time saying they were checking to make sure like people didn't have lead or they wouldn't hook it up to the new service or because that was supposed to clear out all of that stuff. But anyway, that was enough of a sidelight. Do we need a motion then?
We would need a motion to recommend the acceptance of that bid based on the approval by DNR.
So if the board approves it, it's still predicated upon the state of Missouri telling us that they can. Is that right?
They approved that vendor and the plan? And does the grant cover 100%?
We were told by Mr. Dover that should the expenses exceed the grant, that, and/or if the requirements change prior to completing the grant, completing the study, that there will be money available to do that, because all of this it's not optional. We do not have a choice. We just have to work within the framework that they've given us to conduct this in. Does that make any sense?
Well, at least it's a funded mandate. It's
Do
just
we
not-
have this grant already?
The best kind.
Do we have this grant already?
George said yes, we've had it for a while, it sounds like, we just haven't got the project started. And that's-
Okay, so we have the bids in front of us, and you've concluded Burns and Jones as the,
Qualified bidder.
okay. So we'll go ahead.
Question.
Who had a question? Oh, yes, sir.
Is there any expense to the homeowners on this project, or is it,
No.
What if it turns out that the
It is-
homeowner,
yeah,
it
it
is
is.
a lead line going after the meter to the house?
I believe that's part of the grant where they'll replace that.
Haven't we sent out letters already twice? I've signed a letter twice saying that I'm good with it, go for it.
I haven't gotten anything.
Well, Debbie, I don't know how to answer your question. We just started working on getting the people to even do the work required to go through this process of finding companies that are qualified to do the lead line study, which is mandated by the state.
I have signed 2 letters and delivered them back to City Hall, so somewhere,
But
there's been some mailings done on this.
I'm not sure what you signed, Debbie.
Saying that I don't have to pay the extra $1,000 if I don't agree to do it at the same time.
Yeah, I remember something about that.
Yeah, so
I
I
think
got
that's
my letter and I
That's-
sent it back over. Then I
But
got
I
it
mean, the
again.
ball may have gotten started and
Yeah,
it
gas.
didn't go
It's
through.
for gas.
I don't know anything about that.
That's for getting the gas?
Yes, that letter was for gas.
Okay.
Yeah, that was gas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I know is we've received multiple requests to get started since I took office, the very day. You gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. They don't even wonder what this is. We go, oh yes, we really do. So here we are, we're doing it. So what we need then is a motion to approve Byrne and Jones bid amount of $237,250. Is that correct? Okay.
I'll make that motion. That we approve Brandon Jones, for the, bid amount of, $237,250.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve Byrne and Jones as the qualified bidder for the Missouri lead line inventory. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve Byrne and Jones bid for the lead line inventory in the amount of $237,250. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. We have, the motion is approved.
Can I ask a question? So, are we in a position to begin the audit that would have ended September 30, 2023? The previous fiscal year?
No.
Okay. And waiting on, I mean, what has to be done?
Jackie had to go all the way back to January of 2022, even though when her and Gary were here working, she said she still had to go back to January of 22 to verify things,
Okay.
and we don't have the right, what was gonna be needed for an audit yet.
So that's 11 months, that's 11 months longer than we had originally thought about. Is that not true? Because it wasn't originally gonna be September 1st from September, I'm sorry, the end of September 2022 through I'm not sure how to state
Did
it
she say
correctly.
January she went back to? Yeah.
But so she ended up going not September of 2022, January.
January 2022.
Ooh, that's a lot more work.
Yes.
Okay, that kind of helps me out a little bit. But when we were discussing this other day, and please feel free to jump in and tell me if I'm incorrect in any way, we're still probably looking at mid-late August on the
I can't
viewers.
answer that, but that would be a Jackie question. I know she's doing as much as she can when she can. It's a long process. Doing the bank rec side is gonna be quicker than the GL side, because when you go to do the GL side, you've gotta figure out what account this is gonna go into, and you've gotta post it to the right period, there's a lot more involved than just doing a check each time you see the amount in the bank rec side.
So I understand she's working on April, and here we are, July. So she's made great progress, great progress. But if we get caught up we get everything posted, nothing's been posted in July, June, March, May either, or it has been?
For 23 or
24.
I mean, every day I post stuff to bank
To
rec
GL.
and general ledger.
Okay, all right. So
She has made, most of the stuff that she is posting are automatic debits and credits from the bank. Whenever we get like a payment from the state, or if we get a deduct on our bond payment, things like that, that's mainly what she's having to enter for the bank rec and GL at this point.
Okay.
Since I've been here. I mean, before that, I don't know what
Sure.
took place on either side, so.
I was curious when, for the current fiscal year, we'll say, okay, we're clean, but everything's in place, so that she can begin to go back to work on the stuff we need for the audit.
I can check with her and
Yeah.
see where she's at on that.
Because I'm afraid we're gonna end up being another fiscal year behind, you know what I'm saying, for an audit. I mean,
Well,
it
and
just
how
keeps,
far back are we gonna get audits performed?
I don't know.
Are we gonna go all the way back to 2020?
If we were to go do, if we were to do a rate study right now, or want to go do a rate study, excluding other audit requirements that may come up, I'm not sure why they would, we would be looking at 22, 23 to do, to have audited, to help us have the information relative for rates. So basically, fiscal 23 would be enough to get MPUA, their recommended auditor, because we talked about this on the phone.
Is that what we need to sell the bonds as well?
McCliney would be A-okay with it, I guarantee you. If we need to sell bonds and we could have an audit for fiscal 2023, he would be A-okay with it.
Does she have to verify general ledgers all the way back to January 22 as well?
When there were gaps, and definitely gaps in the financial reporting that we were able to just locate for just the purpose of reviewing what it looked like in the individual department performance financially. A lot of gaps. So I now understand. I didn't know that, but now I understand why. I mean, I understand why.
But for the audit, we would need October 1, 2022 through
Correct.
September 23. September 30, 2023.
You're right. Exactly, and that's what we'll have completed, as well as bringing it up to April. If I remember right, up to April.
She asked me last night if I had any other bank statements, and she was gonna go ahead and get those done as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to spit it out.
I'll check with her.
Okay, thanks.
We will get there. We will get there. Anything else?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I haven't gotten any replies back from the engineer of record notice, but we're not our deadline on that yet, so we still have plenty of time. Well, I say plenty of time, but we still have some time to receive those. I did advertise some city property for sale. the Gordon Hill Park property. It will be published next week in the newspaper, and it'll run for 3 weeks.
Is it in here?
No, it is not.
Okay, quickly, you had a reserve of 17.5,
17.5.
and they're
Earnest
required to
money
put down.
totaling 10% of
Earnest
the winning
money.
bid will be due within 5 days of the accepted winning bid. In terms of sale or as is, where is, no warranty or guarantee.
The 17.5 was a reasonable midpoint in the information that we received from maybe C Real Estate when they did their evaluation of, I think, between 15 and 21.5 maybe. But anyway, we took that information, we had to have a starting point. We included the earnest money to try to prevent a reoccurrence of what happened the last time. If you're gonna bid on it, and you're earnest and you're sincere, and you put the money down, and if you back out for no good reason, then that's the price.
Are you requiring them to actually sign a real estate contract for purchase?
They would have to if they're gonna do the earnest money.
I would think so.
Yeah, they would have to.
And that price point was old.
I realize that. You know, the last successful bid was 22.5. 17.5 is a reserve. I don't know.
It's worth what somebody will pay for it.
Excuse me?
I said it's worth what somebody will pay for it. I mean,
So what are the terms of the sale? Cause I didn't know it was the,
As is, where is, no warranty, guarantee.
So
but I mean, is it sealed bids or what's the
Oh,
process?
sorry, yeah. Yes, sealed bids accepted until 2 p.m. on August 16th.
Your problem?
I thought we were gonna auction all the properties, but it's up to you.
Well, if you recall, what I presented to the board a few weeks ago is that we had people specifically interested in that property, 2 different entities. So since there was already the interest shown, and they seemed to be sincere in their inquiries, and the board said sell them, I didn't feel like we were restricted in the manner in which we sold them. So I took it to the city clerk, what I thought we should do, and she's done it. So I ran with the board's approval. I hope you don't have a problem with that.
No, I mean, you all aren't obligated to accept, we'll see what bids come in, and you aren't obligated to accept them, so.
Yeah, and it says that we reserve the right to refuse any and all bids.
So
what's this property again? Just
Gordon Hill Park.
at the end of Lawn Street. And,
okay, I used to that little park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we were required to remove part of the playground equipment due to Murman inspections because it had reached a point in age where it was no longer safe.
And I think it's 2 city lots, so.
It is.
It is.
Yes.
It is. It is.
Lot 43 and 44 in Heavenly Acres subdivision.
And what I was going to say is the swing set has to be removed. Is that correct?
I was thinking there was a slide.
The slide has to be removed because it failed inspection. The cost of replacing that equipment would be about 3 to 4 times what we're going to sell it for. So it doesn't appear to be nearly as trafficked as South Park or North Park. We're getting ready to make an investment in recreation at the North Park. So it was on the list previously. Let's see what happens. You all get to decide what you would like to do with it once the bids are in. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Good.
that's what we're doing. And then what to do an ordinance to sell, if you all agree to sell.
And the last item I have is possibly updates to our current utility collection policy. Phoebe, myself, and Mindy, Alex as well, and who is here, and the mayor, we kind of reviewed, me, Mindy, and Phoebe reviewed things that we had seen, since our new policy went into effect since April, that we'd like you all to consider updating in our policy. I don't have it on
It
yours,
was in
but
the
I'm-
email.
Is this it?
It was in the email.
it was,
Yeah.
It's in the
Is this
packet.
it in, with the changes in red?
Yes,
It's in the packet.
Okay.
yeah, it should be in the
It's in
packet.
both, then, yeah.
Do you not have it?
Well, I
It's
was,
under
maybe, is it the sixth?
6.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. The first suggestion that we'd like to make is on the first page, under item C, where it refers to customers with multiple locations. We would like to add a bullet point. Oh, wait, till it gets here.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, on the first page, at the very bottom, under C, we'd like to suggest adding a bullet point to read, each location must have meter deposits at all times. If they have multiple locations, they still should be required to have deposits at those properties.
On the second page.
May I make a quick comment on that? You take somebody selling a house in Monroe City, and they're gonna buy another house in Monroe City, and they've already got a deposit down, and they only have to pay 20, and then it transfers when they sell their house. I think that's why that policy was there. Not for rental properties and what have you. It's for when somebody's selling a house, moving into another one. So they don't have to go 300, 300. They go 300, and on the next house they give 20, then their deposit moves over to the new house, and you get a new deposit from somebody else. Does that make sense?
Jeanette?
The next item is under landlords, under D. This one we talked about in length today between me, Phoebe, Mindy, and the mayor. Just want to see if y'all have any input on that, or leave it as is.
Are we seeing issues with this still?
It's not very common, no,
Okay.
not at all.
But,
Cause on one hand, I'm kinda in the lines of like, one meter, one disconnect, but I don't know.
there is a, this is quite a discussion.
But somebody might be playing games with it that I'm
Yeah,
not up here
that's
that you guys are, so that's.
And if you look under the previous section for C, the bullet point above the one that we suggested talks about the same,
Same thing.
yeah.
All locations would be disconnected.
From a manpower standpoint, that sounds like a lot of work. What about doing like a tiered disconnect or something? I mean, like if, on day 5 or whatever, that location gets disconnected, but if no payment is received by 10 days or whatever, then we start going down the list.
I'm just gonna be honest.
It gets kind of interesting.
Billing is a major undertaking, and it is it's a process.
Yeah.
When it comes to disconnections, and if we have to remember, okay, if we disconnected this one here, we gotta remember, okay, we can turn this one off here, or we can't turn it off here. It gets cumbersome. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying we can't do it, but in order for it to
Be
work,
efficient.
yeah.
Because you're just talking about power, right, not water.
Correct, yes. I
Okay,
did
so that's
understand.
not as
It would-
bad.
Electric is the first utility we disconnect.
Okay, so you're not.
2 days
having to
later,
physically-
if it's still no payment, it would be the water and the gas that they have those services.
I would also consider, we have quite a few landlords that aren't registered, don't we?
We do.
So how do we treat that? Are they all registered in their name?
Their utilities or,
Yeah.
they have on their landlord listing, they show what properties they own on there. But we do have a lot that haven't registered with us.
Like registered at all or registered all their properties?
Registered
Some
all.
would choose not to be public notice.
Because they don't want all
They
the
don't.
calls.
And that's fine, and that is one of the questions on that form. We asked them if they would like for us to give out their phone number to anyone inquiring about renting. And there's a yes or no on there. We would not give out their information if they don't want us to.
Is did that get changed with this last review?
If you need that landlord designation form, we already had that in place, didn't we? Yeah, that was already in place. Oh, go ahead.
Without naming names, can you share with the board why this is important?
Sure. We have some landlords in town that own 10+ properties. And sometimes they don't manage those properties very well. And they have tenants moving in, moving out. And between tenants, that will go back into their name. And then that landlord isn't paying their bill sometimes.
So the landlord requests that the electric typically be now put in their name, the service is turned on, the service is used. The next tenant comes in, signs up, does everything he's supposed to do, right? And it gets now put in their name. Well, yeah, we read the meters, but we have no ability to make, there's nothing here that forces or has any penalty for that landlord to never ever pay.
Because the new tenant's paying
And,
now.
and it has
So
happened.
you're not cutting the new tenant off because they're paying their bill, it's in their name.
Right.
But the landlord had that month for free or whatever it was. Okay, so somebody is playing games with it.
Yeah.
That answers that question.
Well, we literally had a lively discussion for about 45 minutes over this because I had a hard time wrapping my mind around it. And once someone finally gave me enough information, which is like, why is this so important? Because I mean, it was getting a very interesting conversation to say the least. Explain to me why this is good for us, and they did. It's because, to borrow a phrase from the generation, we've been hosed bad.
Yeah, there's no incentive for them to pay the bill.
There's nothing that requires it.
I mean, because it could be years before they have to do that again, and meanwhile, we're stuck with a bill. Even if it's $50, it's still sitting on the books unpaid. Yeah.
So I think, the purpose is to get this out here for the board to look at, correct, consider. We're going to come back and revisit this. Not too far down the road.
Can I get a
It's
copy of that?
beneficial. Excuse me?
Are you handing out copies?
When we get this thing, excuse me, finalized, this has got red ink on it, it's got lines drawn through it, it's not ready to be out. The answer to your question is yes.
I'd like to read it before you.
Oh, yeah, and actually, I'd like to have your input on it. We'd like to have your input on it, because, there may be other ways to accomplish the same end that we're not thinking of. So we certainly are going to want to encourage anyone who is a landlord to get involved in the process. Unfortunately, it only takes a couple of instances where, you know, that everybody's going, well, you know, it's gonna happen again. So what's the next thing on here you want to look at?
From time to time, we'll have a tenant move from one property to another property in town. And they will want to keep utilities on in that old property for so long while they're moving from one place to another. We would like to set a deadline on time as far as a maximum number of days that they can do that. And if it's after that number of days, they're gonna need another set of deposits. Otherwise, we would normally transfer their deposits from their old property to their new property. But if they're gonna have utilities on in both places for, say, over 7 days, then they would need to make deposits at the new property and have deposits in both places. I know Shelbina, has this requirement.
I thought we did.
I was thinking we had something in there about
I did
that.
too. I trust you. I just thought we already had it in place.
Maybe they just talked about it and it didn't get
That's
implemented.
possible.
So
Yeah, 'cause that makes sense, because it's, like I said, the moving of the deposit makes sense, but too long of an overlap, just, you know, I mean, you can stretch it out to wherever, say, hey, I want to leave those on forever. Now I gotta do that, you know, I mean, that's.
So would that resolve that?
So that is a suggestion that we have. I don't have that highlighted in here. It was just something I added on my own notes. So that would be something to consider as well. On the back of the second page, under G, it talks about gates and fences for property owners. Federally, gas meters cannot be obstructed at any point in time. They need to be accessible 24/7 to our gas personnel to access in case of a fire, anything of that nature. We run into this issue almost every month where there's gates locked, they can't get in and get the readings and their gas meters are back behind the fences. I don't know how to resolve it, but we need to come up with a resolution on this.
Like what percentage of customers, I mean.
We have quite a few that
And
have
there's
fences
regulars.
that are locked. We try to let them, I mean, they know ahead of time when we're reading
Yeah.
meters, they have that, information. How many would you say have to go back and reread if for a locked fence or something?
Like 15 or 20.
There's quite a few.
And they're repeat offenders, probably.
Yeah, they are.
And that's not counting the people that send us their readings, that we don't even go, they just automatically email or bring us a piece of scrap paper with their readings on it because they know we can't get in there.
The federal regulations
So do we,
state there
do
should
we
be no
audit their readings?
obstructions for gas meters, and they should be available to personnel at all times.
Okay, it sounds to me like we need to draft an ordinance relative to access to the meters. And it needs to be forceful enough that if they don't comply, we shut them off. I had one of the gentlemen that works for People Services approach me, and I did the best he could do about pictures describing a situation where he had to literally climb over pallets and pipe and tubing and wheeze to get to the meter to read it. And I think that we can certainly find a way to improve that situation, because number one, we should not take is that a normal practice? Can I read my meter and send it stuff to you?
Some do.
And that's okay.
Why?
The way our policy reads, yes, it is.
Oh my. So
Yeah.
we need to go audit their meters like.
Are we even
It
getting
says
6
once every
months?
6 months it needs to be accessible in
Okay.
here.
Are we
Well,
actually getting that
You
6
think we
month
can
reading?
draw something up?
Yeah,
Yes, we will. We will get
Let's
it.
draw something up. We'll draw
Well,
something
I
up.
can change in 6 months.
There's gotta be other model policies that other cities use.
Yeah, and what about electric meters? Is there any regulations on obstruction for those?
Well, during a fire, we need to get in there it depends on the seriousness of the fire.
So just
Most of the time,
utility services
most
in
of the time,
general then?
the firemen pull the meter if we ain't there fast enough.
Okay,
And
so
if the
safety,
thing's on fire, then we show up and cut the wire down, make sure there's no fire going.
so safety is another issue.
Yep.
Responding to a fire or other emergencies, yeah, it becomes an issue that we need to address. Okay?
Okay.
We'll make
And that
something
could,
happen.
yeah, separate ordinance for that altogether.
Absolutely.
And that
Okay.
would probably need to include those new homes that are building with their meters inside, making sure they have outside meters.
Correct. The new meters for the waters in my home, my house sits in the basement,
Well,
and
it's
it
remote
sends out
read, though.
sends out
Yeah.
remote.
Yeah.
So that's yes.
But I would think that the new gas meters would already have a remote, the new gas meters.
We're working on that. Vision had provided only 200 retrofit for the Rockwells. Terry may tell me wrong, but the Rockwell meters are the ones that we can actually put just a piece on. But the rest of them, I've been having discussions with Terry and Scott about those remote readers, and we were supposed to have 1,200 of those units, but we got to replace the actual meters so those will fit onto the new meters. Because the old meters, you just can't put the retrofit. Can't think of it. Anyway, you can't read it. It just changes the face of the meter where you're supposed to be able to read it.
So on the new construction, are those getting some sort of remote read capability already?
Well, as far as the electric, yes. The water, yes.
Yes.
I'm hoping they do. I do not know that. I don't handle the gas department, but I will ask them if they are. And I'm sure they will do the new gas meters on any new homes. Should do, if we have them on the shelf. The demand is a serious problem with gas meters.
Oh, because of Texas.
Well, it's just still backlog from COVID crap.
Danette?
Okay, under H for termination and reconnection of services, that first bullet point and the second bullet point there, we would like to revise that utilities can be disconnected Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. And we would like to remove that they will not be disconnected the day before a holiday or weekend. For instance, if Labor Day Monday, we can't disconnect on that Friday because of this policy. We can't disconnect on the Monday because of a holiday, which we wouldn't be here anyway, but we couldn't disconnect until that Tuesday at the earliest. We are losing several days and giving people more time to move out if they wish and still have their services on.
People are taking advantage of it.
Makes sense.
The next item is down for termination for non-payment. Strike that first bullet point in red. We discussed it a little further. We want to take that one out. The second bullet point in red is our suggestion, and then strike or next business day after 9 a.m. without further notice, and replace just after 9 a.m. there. NECAC, we have several customers that use NECAC services, and they need a specific disconnection date. We do not have that for our customers at all. Every month it is different. And Phoebe talked to NECAC. We even had a lady in today that used to work for NECAC and told us the same exact thing that Phoebe was told on the phone with NECAC. So to help our NECAC customers, we really need to define this better. And
What's the current due date?
The 20th without penalty, and then you have
Until the
25th
25th to
with
pay with penalty
Uh-huh.
without disconnect, and then 26th too.
So even if the payment date fell on a 21st or 22nd because of a weekend, it would still be a 26th disconnect date to satisfy any CAC requirements.
Yes, it'll always be the 26th.
Okay.
So you scratch out for next business day?
Yes, and in place of that, put after 9 a.m. Carry forward.
What if the 26th is on a Sunday?
Then it'd be first thing the Monday morning.
They told us, like in Hannibal and stuff, that it's the 15th, and they said they don't put it on their bill, that you just know the 15th falls on a Saturday, you know they'll be there Monday.
Makes sense.
I'm sure you noticed the other miss on due date.
What's that?
You had the,
By the 25th.
no, you had it as the 15th.
That's correct.
It's due.
Where's that at?
Utility bills are due in the 15th, under billing and payments.
Yeah, and then,
I thought they were technically due on the 20th.
oh, you're right.
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
correct.
Yeah.
We didn't get that updated from the
That's
last.
why I figured it was an oversight. so-
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
That's the first mistake you've made all year.
Yeah.
I was just thinking.
I didn't want
my
to say
bill
anything,
was
but I
late
thought,
this
you
month.
know,
on the
now that
Put that on the
everything has to be
calendar, so I got
asphalt.
something to, you know.
Under reinstatement of services, second bullet point, where it talks about after 3:30 p.m. on the scheduled due date. I'd like to strike scheduled due date and replace that with date of disconnection. So after 3:30 p.m. on the date of disconnection, the reconnect fee will be $100 if the customer wishes to have utilities.
So after 3 p.m. on the date of disconnect.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it makes
I have a
sense.
question on the industrial. Industrial will be given 30 minutes notice.
That's correct.
I know we had an issue before that we turned them off and their pots got hard or something.
You are correct, but let me give us
We need
something
be
to
more strict
consider.
with them.
They know when it's due.
Yeah.
They know when it's going to be terminated. They need no further notice from us, unless, of course, they can make a case they cannot read the written English word.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
That's my opinion. This,
No,
whatever
that
the
totally
board
makes
decides,
sense.
I will support 100%.
Yeah, it's not like it's coming back to a surprise for them. We posted on the door.
And the last, under final billed accounts, that first bullet point, we would just like to change that to 30 days. That we would be referred to the collection agency for collection. Then on the very back, it talks about return checks. I don't know if return checks need to be on this policy, if they just need to be something totally separate, because we could get a return check for anything, yeah. But right now, there's a $35 return check fee. This does, the part that I have highlighted in yellow, we're kind of wanting your all's opinion on that, because when we get notice they wrote a bad check or they've given us a check on a closed account, the customer should already be aware of that.
Especially a closed account.
Yes. I mean, this says immediate disconnection of all utilities, but
an insufficient funds return check is the same thing as non-payment.
yes, I know.
So I'm not sure there's a question.
And by the time it gets back to us.
How soon do you
days
want us to
is-
disconnect after we receive notice, is the question. Right now it is immediately, and I'm just asking you all if that's what you wanna do, give them 24 hours. We can leave it as is, I mean, it's,
Well, if they're not delinquent yet, I mean, if if they pay early before the 20th, say they wrote a check on the 17th, still not due until the 20th.
True.
I would think that if they could
Make it
somehow
right.
make payment before the due date, I'm not sure we could.
You think
show
24 hours notice?
For me, it would go back to the 26th. Basically, if you come in and you write a check on the 15th and it doesn't, because I don't know, how long does it take to get a return check back?
5 days?
So would you get it back in time that you would see?
I don't know.
I mean, but if you write your check on the 15th and through some mess up, right, your check doesn't go through, if it's still before the 26th, then, you know,
You just consider
your
it
check
not
didn't
paid.
clear, paid out at 26th, or you're off. If you come up on the 26th and write a check that doesn't clear,
Right.
now it's,
Cut off.
yeah.
We have to accept checks.
I would. 'Cause some people-
Well, do they automatically run it a second time, or do they send it
I
back to
think
us?
that's up to the bank. I don't know that it's our decision on that.
So I'm just, I mean, cause that would delay it even more.
And then if
Or
I
that was
know
gonna-
after so
if
many
you
bad
shut 'em
checks,
off,
they need to be on cash.
Cause it didn't go through, they could come up and say, the money's in there,
Cash or card only.
and then it'll be on us because we didn't authorize them to run it back through or the bank.
Well, maybe we need to find out what the bank does and put in the policy
I
that,
don't think that's our
I don't either.
area.
I don't either.
I think, I agree with Greg, if there's, I think we just follow the policy of the disconnect dates. Granted, they'll have interest on there that they're gonna have to pay, but if they give us a bad check,
But it could possibly be a tenant that's moving out of town that's paid on the 5th, and we let that stay on till the 25th.
We're the person that come in and paid their deposit with a bad check to first move into town.
So you might just have to leave it.
What you've highlighted is current policy.
That's
You're
current.
not asking to change anything.
No, I'm asking your opinion if you want to leave it that way.
What you thinking? If the
How many
writers
times
want
have we
a
had
check
to do that?
after the second one, they need to be
A
on
few.
cash only.
I would say a lot, but you.
and is it usually pretty effective at getting a payment
It
quickly?
is.
Don't you think after a
In
state,
24
we
hours.
get a second bad check from somebody, that they need to be put on cash only?
Yeah,
We had like this 3-strike rule before,
Okay.
and then after that, no more checks.
Is that in,
But I did have a customer that wrote us a bad check for their deposits, and I did tell them no more checks. I mean, if their first check out of the get-go was.
It's like a separate policy from the utility policy for anything.
just as long as we have it
Yeah.
posted, or
So that could be part of the policy,
just to save us?
put that in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any real problem with this.
Okay.
I
Well,
was
what
just
you,
wondering, like, if,
I don't
would it be okay to suggest that we'll go in and, make whatever changes has been, and we'll bring it back at the next meeting for
Yeah,
review?
because you were gonna have Brad.
And we'll get it out in the packet ahead of time, so if there's any issues, you have a couple of days
And make
to.
sure Brad
I'll
gets
get
a
these
copy, and then
updated fairly quick, and I can send out to everyone. And then if you do have any questions or concerns, if you could let me or Phoebe or Mindy know before the meeting, that'd be great.
When we publish that, we have ability to get a copy out to some of our landlords for their review. I'm sure not everyone's gonna embrace it, but that's okay.
Are we required to publish this?
Are we required to publish it
Paper?
Yeah,
No.
before we vote for it.
on this one? Yeah, on this one.
That's why we
Because
wanna make sure.
it is
I never
utility
did a
policy.
reply or anything, and I didn't know who that was.
I'll give that.
I have, well,
Sorry.
Yeah, 'cause if they give us a hot check, then we're disconnecting 3 services typically. So that's $120 just in reconnect fees too.
yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Anything else, Phoebe? No, anything anything else.
Does that complete your report?
It does, thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Thank you.
City Attorney's report?
Nothing really to add that hasn't been addressed. The mayor's gonna come to city court in August and observe that, so.
That sounded really bad.
That's in Paris, I think.
In Paris.
As long as I am a member of the gallery.
What do you charge for?
Oh, nothing yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I made the trip and I didn't even get to do anything.
Yeah. Very fun.
Well, there are things that, when it's optional, I often take the option to not go. However, since, it is what it is, I plan to be there.
Other than that,
What's the date?
Is it gonna be televised?
We put the news release out, right?
it's always the second Tuesday of the month at 10 o'clock.
In
I believe it's August 13th at
Yeah.
1:30 p.m.
I'll have to take off work.
Huh?
10.
What?
You should be finished by today.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. So I would be late.
You would be.
I'll have to take off work so I can watch.
I'll be there at 10 a.m. Anything else, Mr. City Attorney? There are no authorized guest speakers on the agenda. Okay, moving right along. We will have the committee reports now. First on the list is planning and zoning. I know that the planning and zoning committee is quite active currently. Parks and cemetery. Economic development.
Had a meeting this past Monday and don't have any minutes for it. It was pretty short, but, discussed some things and we're gonna try to set some goals for next meeting, so.
We did receive the documentation from Ally Bennett.
Okay,
I've sent that to the city clerk's
okay,
office for her review. I've sent it to MC Gas and MC Electric for them to review the document and fill out the appropriate blanks, and I will need to lean on one of the members, Debbie, to get some information that she has on the legal description of some of the properties that are in the industrial park, and we're going to be working towards getting that document finished up and back in the hands of your committee, so you can move forward.
okay. Sounds good.
I would like to back up, if I may, on Parks and Cemetery. I apologize for not paying attention to my own document. Steve Yates and I had a meeting this morning discussing the North Park grant. We have there appears to be maybe some lack of communication within the entirety of the board. We approached Mary Kendrick this morning. She had came to City Hall, was it last week, and met with you? Yesterday, boy, that went quick. Yesterday, and Steve was here this morning, and we called Mary Kendrick, and she has agreed to, for lack of better words, this may not be the correct terminology, but at least be our administrator for the city on that grant opportunity or grant. We got the grant, now we got to do the work, period. We got a financial person, that's going to be Danette. She's going to take care of the finance side of it. Mr. O'Brien's going to be the project manager, and Mary's going to be the administrator, make sure all the documents and papers and all this stuff is filled out. she had previously worked with Wendy Hayes. And so they being the entity that Wendy represents, have set aside funds for this that can be used for this purpose. And so that's where the funding is going to come from for Mary, the work that Mary performs. So that's where that's at. I should have done that. Do we have anything from administration?
Can I speak on that?
Yes, you can.
Parks?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so, yeah, the lack of communication there. I've already talked to Tanya Carr about it.
I just read that a little while ago.
Yeah, and, I actually had Mary make all the copies of the grant because I told her Tanya Carr was gonna be the administrator. And I just talked to Mary, and maybe you just met with her yesterday? Or
I haven't. I have not met with her.
Okay, so I don't,
Yeah.
this is, news to me.
I
already told Tanya she's hired at 18 an hour, so.
Well, I think.
And Mary didn't say anything to me, that's weird.
Yeah,
Because she didn't mention that somebody had approached her to be it, so I don't know. I'll talk to Steve.
Yeah, talk to Steve, but I'm at a loss because the chairman of the committee came into my office and said, this is what we recommend. And I'm following the chairman's recommendation.
Okay, I'll talk to him.
I was not going to use the but you got me to do it. I wrote down no
Mary knows this or not. Okay.
So there we have it. Okay. Do we have anything for public safety or nuisance review board?
No.
No, it was scheduling only because I actually forgot that I was gonna be gone this
Okay,
week.
fine. That's fine. Department reports. Police department?
I don't have anything big. However, there was a request for an investigation into one of the responses that our officers had on the 19th, which I believe everybody was aware of. It was going to be for speeding, and excessive speed in residential area. After looking into this, unfortunately, I did not have dash cam, which would tell me the exact speed they were going. We had a problem with download on that. We did have the officer's body cam though, that was working. So the maximum speed that was reached during this entire time was actually going to be on Main Street at 46 miles an hour. The average speed throughout the entire was 42, and the fastest I was ever able to see them on Lawn Street was just at 40 miles an hour. Now, the other part of that is the reason for this response was for 2 kids that were possibly unresponsive in a vehicle that was locked, not running, so an unknown amount of time that they were in there. So given the circumstances, I believe the officer acted in best interest, looking at the roadways from the body camera. It was clear the entire time. He was on the street, didn't have any trees, anything like that to obstruct his view. But I did go ahead and talk to that officer as well, just to reiterate our response policies, pursuit policies, things of that nature. But other than that, that's all I have, unless anybody has any other questions.
Is the dash cam now working?
It is now working. Okay. So the dash cams are set up to transfer via Wi-Fi, and it was a connection issue. So that is good and working at this point now, though.
Just so you know, it's the Monroe City Citizens for Youth that used to be the task force, has asked if they can collect money for school supplies like they have in the past this Saturday from 9 to 1.
Four-way stop.
The
Four-way
four-way?
stop,
Yeah. We've got no problem with that. Yep. But outside of that, if anybody ever has any questions or anything, any concerns, always let me know, feel free. We will follow up on everything that you all have any concerns about, so.
Thank you.
On the dash cams, is there any sort of a notification that you get that they're not working, or is it, you go to?
Nope, it's when we go to look at them in the system. Yeah, so.
That's not good.
No, but we have rarely had issues with that.
Yeah.
But now that we know that there might possibly be issues, we'll be making sure we get those looked at more frequent.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's all I have unless anybody has any other questions.
Thank you very much, Chief, and the Chief had advised me of the result of this investigation. I'm very satisfied, very satisfied.
And the kids were okay, I'm assuming?
Were the kids
The
okay?
kids were okay, I'm assuming?
Yep. If everything ended well.
I think I would have sped for that myself.
Me too.
I would too.
So, next thing we have is fire department. Water, George's not here today. He said if we had any questions, he'd be available by phone. I have no questions, if no board members have any questions. Electric,
Y'all should have my packet, okay, and you also have a list of transformers for the Farmers Elevator project out of Industrial Park. Did they get in there?
the transformers for, if I may interject, transformers for
At the Sun Belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took those to Adam at the Farmers Elevator. Him and Rusty went through the bids. These bids, for an industry like that, we buy the transformer for them and then they reimburse us. We've done this forever. I guess it's a tax cost thing, but they wouldn't have to pay taxes.
that's
since we were
correct.
buying.
That's correct.
That's how we've always done it.
Now, I have a question.
Yep.
If this is reimbursable,
Mm-hmm.
do they tell you which transformer they would
Yes,
prefer to
they do.
have?
Yep, if you look at the face of those, and UTV transformer is the one they accepted because they
Okay.
had it on the lot, ready to roll, and come to us.
Very well then.
It cost a little more, TNR was a low bid, but they couldn't do, Adam and them couldn't handle the 24 to 36 weeks delivery time.
Very well.
That's the one they chose, because it was on the lot, 18.8 and change, I think.
It's the standard practice if we purchase the transformer, we're reimbursed by the builder.
Yeah.
Does this board have to do anything?
I just make a motion to follow that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the recommended transformer. Which one was that from? UTV? Okay, yeah, from UTV for $17,850. Is that?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the transformer from UTB in an amount of $17,850. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the purchase of the UTB transformer at a cost of $17,850, which we will be reimbursed for by Farmers Elevator after installation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Gary,
Yes,
I was gonna get with you about that security light on one of the streets that's kind of weird. It's in front of 808 Lawn Street.
got it.
Thank you.
We'll need to do a work order. What's the
Oh, I'm
address?
sorry, 808 Lawn.
Lawn?
It's across the street from 808 Lawn, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, Kerry?
No.
All right, I want to back up just for a minute on, I'm not going to back up for a minute, it's still on here. All right, gas, no one's here for gas. Street, and the airport, we'll get the airport in a second on the street. The street department did go out to the airport and they painted the overhang that Delbert built and installed over the canopy, whatever you would call it, over the credit card reader for the fuel. And they painted that, and they also went out to, the street department went out and applied some corrective measures to cracks in the asphalt in and around the FBO of the office. So I'm very glad that they were able to get out there and get that done. On airport, which is under here, I believe we have a we'll get there eventually.
The fixed base operator agreement?
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I will find it eventually, I think.
Under 10.
That'll work, thank you.
So you got it.
All right, so we have the agreement ran out, what, in September of 2023, the previous agreement? Very old or something like that.
Yeah, I think it did just.
It's past due, it's past due. So this is the agreement with the fixed base operator for operation of the fixed base at the airport. It's consistent with the previous ones with a change or two.
Has Dell looked at this?
He agreed to the previous one. He just wanted it redone. We increased because nothing's been done for years. We increased the monthly amount by $25 per month for the fixed base operator. I spent a day out there on Saturday with the Oshkosh people coming in and signing. I got to meet a lot of really nice people. I was quite impressed. One of the things that I observed while I was out there is that the current fixed base operator, Mr. Buckman, had purchased hot dogs and buns and other things like mustard and ketchup and stuff and plates and stuff on his own nickel, and had provided a hot dog for all the people that showed up, and they were quite surprised and amazed. And I asked him, I asked him who's paying for it. He said, well, I pay for it. And I said, well, that's wonderful, but I don't think you should have to. I think if you have reimbursable expenses, that you should submit those to the city clerk. If she approves them, we'll get them in the bills payable and reimburse you. That's the only changes that's been made to it. And I asked for both of those changes. After spending some time out there and seeing how much work's actually done, it seems more like he's getting a very small amount of reimbursement for the passionate work that he does. I was very impressed. So we're going to ask the board to please consider approving this agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the fixed base operator agreement.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the fixed base operator agreement. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the fixed base operator agreement. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Something real quick for the airport. Dell has asked for cleaning services out there. There used to be a lady that worked out there at some point in time, it sounds like, and she's no longer there, and it's just him by himself. So he's asking for somebody to come once a week to do some
Good
cleaning.
learning ops, do that.
What?
No, I do it.
LOI like this here.
We do have an employee that's offered to go out there to clean once a week after she leaves work here at 5. I didn't know if that was something you wanted, were okay with, and I can't imagine that would be anything that would take much time. We do contract with
Learning
opportunities here, but cost-wise, it might just be a little less expensive.
Unique quote, can you get a quote from that individual on what their hourly cost would be, or per clean would cost be once a week? And then we can maybe compare that to what Learning Opportunities would propose as an increase to their compensation, and then bring that back to the board. And I don't think Dover will have a problem with it.
Sure.
The FBO is open, that office is open 24 hours a day. Pilots fly in, they fuel up, they can go in, they can sit down, they can go to the restroom, they can get, they can purchase snacks. And so, yeah, it needs to be cleaned once a week.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that?
But I do know, she said that she would do it just for her hourly wage.
At her currently hourly
And
wage?
And she said it wouldn't take her 15, 20 minutes if all he's wanting is, a quick.
The initial one might take a little bit longer, of course, and this has been a while, but after that, I wouldn't think it would take very long.
Okay, well.
We'll find out with the Learning Opportunities.
Would that need to be like any minimum amount of time? I mean, just wouldn't seem fair if it takes 20 minutes.
I would say 1 hour. I'd say 1 hour and be done with it. Unless the board, of course, wants to get into quarter hours, we'll do whatever the board asks, but I would just say 1 hour and be done with it.
Yeah.
Even though the travel there is on their current route. If someone else was having to travel there and travel back, they would probably want to say, if it takes me 20 minutes, pay me for an hour because I got to drive, or something along those lines. It's up to you what you want to do. But we'll come back to the board with both the information from LOI and as well as from this current employee, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss it again. Mosswood? No one here from the swimming pool unless somebody knows something I don't. Okay, next on the agenda is the presentation of bills and approval of payments.
Nice and short.
Yes, it is.
Are we getting caught up?
It's beautiful.
I didn't miss anything.
I was like, there's gotta be the second
If we could get this done every month like this, it'd be
You're
great.
thinking that's one day,
I
right?
thought it was the second page. There's a page over here.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
is Monroe on the agenda every council meeting?
yes.
Okay, good to know. Do you
Well-
want a report of some sort? I mean, this is kind of new.
It's I would say the same thing that we have said to our department managers, okay, is that if there's something specific, we will contact you and ask you to be here.
Okay.
If there's nothing specific, we're fine with receiving your report. We're doing a much better job of getting the packets out to the aldermen ahead of time. There may be an exception once in a while. So they have questions, then we can contact the department heads and have them come in. So the answer to your question is no, you do not have to be here. If there's information that you want to bring to the board, it can be information only, upcoming events, anything at all like that. Of course, it'll be in the meeting, and the public will be able to watch it on the video. So you're not required to.
Okay.
You're not required to.
How did the tournament with the picnic licenses go?
We haven't had it yet.
Oh, that's still coming up, okay.
Have we got all the ducks in a row for that?
I do believe, he was on vacation last week, so I haven't got to ask him if he's got all that in his.
Because I was thinking we needed some more.
Yeah,
paperwork
that's the
for that.
last I heard you needed some
Insurance
documents.
or something.
Let me see. I done did 3 times. Daggone it. Danette, you called or contacted?
I did. I reached out to the point of contact twice and left messages, and I didn't get a response. And then I did talk to Penny about it though, so
Okay.
she.
So the city has done nothing.
The city has done nothing? What do you
No,
mean by that?
we've not received any information.
Yeah,
that
we've
was requested.
not gotten anything. We're still waiting on answers, I think, aren't we?
So I don't know what to say.
When is it scheduled for?
Hmm?
When is it scheduled for?
Next weekend.
Next weekend?
Moving on to accounts payable.
I just had a question on Marco. Is that Are they, was that an older bill?
VPN issues. This would be an Alex question,
Yeah.
unfortunately. We can hold that bill until the
Ah,
next meeting
That's
too.
not that serious.
We're getting closer and closer. There was some loose ends.
Yeah.
Relative to all the
Yeah.
multitude of connections that we have. So we're getting very, very close to being divorced from Marco.
The Mill Street project, is that the balance to them, to the engineering group?
This was the McClure.
McClure Engineering, here's what happened. Last year, about this time, the board approved $9,500, a total of $9,500 to be used for the easements, getting the easement permissions. When I came across those board meeting minutes, I contacted McClure and asked, where are we? He explained that no action had been taken. We went back and verified all the accounts payable, bills payable to these guys, their account. No other bills or invoices were submitted from July up until that time that I had called them. So I called him and asked him, what's the holdup? And he told me they were the holdup, they had dropped the ball. So I asked him to pick the ball back up. Let's get the easements from permissions from the current landowners, because there was a question about where the previous landowners were still the current landowners. We got that squared away, and he is billing us $2,155 for coming here, talking to the landowners, showing them the information, and getting their permission. So we've spent $2,155 of the $9,500 that was approved to date. I hope that's a reasonable explanation. I found it quite interesting as I got into this where we were at on this project.
Anybody have any? I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable presented as 7/25/24.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the accounts payable July 25th, 2024. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a couple of seconds on accounts payable for 7/25/2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. The accounts payable are approved. On to new business. Within your packet are two bills, Bill 5 and Bill 6, for your review. Okay, the first bill, Bill number 5. Bill number 5 is an ordinance amending a portion of section 2.12.280 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City in order to match RSMO 77.042, City Administrator Employment Authorized.
And the RSMO is the state ordinance.
Yes, sir.
So we're coming into compliance with the state ordinance.
Yes, sir. That was the intent. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Monroe City, Missouri as follows. Section 1, Section 2.12.280 F1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City is hereby amended to read as follows. F. Duties and authority. The city administrator shall have the following duties and authority. The city administrator shall be the chief administrative assistant to the mayor and shall have general superintending control of the administration and management of the government business, officers, and employees of the city, subject to the direction of the supervision of the mayor. And that's your first reading. Is there any discussion?
You can't say it out loud. You can't say it out loud. Or you think the same thing? Yes.
See if he wants to say.
Oh, no. He can tell you.
Not in trouble.
No.
Okay.
What if we have, what if we have a really nasty person in place?
Can we talk about this?
Yes. Thank you.
I will. I want to hear everything that you have to say. That was your first reading.
I don't know if you can you do as the mayor, can you do that?
You want to do it? You're the president.
I know,
Jason
but
should do the second reading.
Go ahead, Jason.
I don't
I
know.
will be approved the first
Can the
reading.
mayor do the readings? Cause there's gonna be a first and a second, I didn't know.
I think you can.
Oh, okay. Just checking the honesty.
Well, okay, what?
Okay, so, motion for second reading, an ordinance amending a portion of section.
Motion for first reading.
Well, he just said he did, but I didn't know
We-
if the
well, we
mayor
have to
could
vote
do
on it.
that.
We have to vote, correct?
You need a motion to accept the first reading.
We-
I'll make a motion to accept the first reading.
Okay, I apologize.
You need a roll call?
Yes.
Not on first reading, no.
Okay.
Oh, no, on first?
I'll make a second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the first reading of bill number 5. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Yeah, proceed.
Please proceed with the second reading, Mr. President of the
Thank
board.
you, your majesty. Motion for second reading, an ordinance amending a portion of section 2.12.280 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City in order to match RSMO 77.042, City Administrator Employment Authorized. Is that the only part I read, or do I read all of it? Don't I just read the first part?
Read it by title.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the second reading.
We have a motion on the floor to second reading. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the second reading of bill number 5.
Alderman Saunders,
Yes.
Alderman Osborne,
Yes.
Alderman Simpson,
Yes.
Alderman Schneider,
Yes.
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
The bill is approved and shall become ordinance. Next, we have bill number 6. Would you like to read bill number 6? The first reading?
Bill number 6, an ordinance addressing official conduct of aldermen, requirement added to Division 1, Section 2.08 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City, State Law Reference RSMO 79.110. Be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Monroe City, Missouri as follows. Section 1. Section 2.08.060 is added to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City to read as follows. Section 2.08.060 Alderman Duties Official Conduct. Aldermen shall not directly interfere with the conduct of any city department or duties of employees. Whenever possible, aldermen shall deal with the city employees through the mayor or city administrator. Aldermen shall not give orders directly to any city employees subordinate to the city administrator. Aldermen may, whenever they deem necessary, forward complaints and ask questions of city employees. Whenever possible, citizen complaints should be referred to the appropriate official or department head. If the department head has failed, in the opinion of any alderman, to respond appropriately or promptly to a complaint or question, the alderman shall refer the matter to the mayor or city administrator, who shall, after duly investigating, make a report to the Board of Aldermen. All employees shall have the right and duty to report orders that violate this code or violations of this section without fear of retaliation. State law reference duties of the mayor and board in fourth class city, RSMO 79.110.
Do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
Motion to approve the first reading.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the first reading of bill number 6. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say no. Motion carries for the first reading of bill number 6. Second reading,
Adrian?
Alderman Saunders, would you like to perform the second reading?
Sure. An ordinance addressing official conduct of aldermen requirement added to Division 1, Section 2.08 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Monroe City. State law reference RSMO 79.110.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of bill number 6.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the second reading of bill number 6.
Second it.
Alderman Osborne,
Yes.
Alderman Simpson,
Yes.
Alderman Schneider,
Yes.
Alderman Smith,
Yes.
Alderman Saunders.
Yes.
The bill passes and shall become ordinance. Okay, moving right along.
Oopsie doops.
I want, that's for you, I'm kidding. Unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. We stand in adjournment. Thanks everyone for attending. We do appreciate your presence.
We'll, see you in jail, we'll get a pot put together, so John Russell can tell
Make
us
sure you take
how much.
pictures. Take pictures.